So now we have looked at how to write down the squares. We have looked at how to actually know what square is what square on the chessboard. So now we are going to know how to write down chess moves. But before we know how to write down chess moves, we need to know how the pieces are noted or annotated. So now this is a rook. It is noted with capital letter R. The rook is noted with capital letter R. This is a knight. It is noted with N, not K. Why is it noted with N, not K? It is because the king has higher precedence over the knight. So we note the king as K, but the knight, we use N to note the knight. Now the bishop is noted with capital letter B, the queen is noted with capital letter Q. So all these pieces right here are noted with their capital letters representing them, but only the knight is noted with N because it also starts with K, but the king is noted with K, so we don't mix it up. That's why they noted it with N. So now we need to know the value of pieces. The queen has a value of 9 points. The queen has a value of 9 points. The rook is the second most valuable piece, or let me say the third most valuable piece, because the king is the most valuable piece. The rook has a point of 5. 5 points is worth 5 points. These are called heavy pieces. The queen and the rook are called heavy pieces, while the knight and the bishop are both worth 3 points of material. They are both worth 3 points of material. So that is the point value of each of these pieces. The king doesn't have any value because the king, if you checkmate the king, you win the game. So the king is priceless. So it doesn't have any point value. It's the most valuable piece on the board. So you have to protect it at all costs. So now let's see how these pieces move. The bishop moves in an X pattern. It moves in the diagonals. It moves in an X pattern. This is how the bishop moves. The knight, right here, it moves in an L-shaped pattern. It can move to this square in an L shape, 2 squares forward and 1 square to the right or to the left. So it can move there and it can move here. It can also move here if there was a space for you to move. So that is how the knight moves. Now the rook moves in a form of plus, mathematical plus, the plus pattern. So it moves forward and sideways. It only moves forward and sideways. So sideways to the up or to the right or to the left or to the down. So that is how the rook moves. But now the queen moves in a combination of both the bishop and the rook. So the queen moves in a plus and also in a times pattern. Let me put it that way. Plus and times. So it moves in a star. In a way, it moves in a star form. So the queen moves forward, goes to the diagonals and also to the side, front and back, and also left and right. So that's how the queen moves. That's why it is very, very valuable. It's the most valuable piece apart from the king. It's the most powerful piece on the board because the queen, if you lose your queen, you lose your game. So that's how the queen moves. While the king, right here, the king moves in each square. It's the immediate square around it. It moves 1 square to each of the squares around it. So let's say if the king was right here in this square on E3, if the king was on E3, it can move to F4, F3, F2, E2, D2, D3, and D4 and E4. So these are the squares that the king can move to if the king was on E3. So that is how the king moves. So now we should know how to note down moves on the chess board. Now we will see a very, very basic form of game, a very basic game, and we will see how to write down the moves. So now the pawns, I forgot to mention, the pawns are not noted with P. They are just noted by the squares they go to. Like for example, if this pawn moves 2 squares forward, because at the start of every game, the pawns have the power to move 2 squares forward. Then later it can move only 1 square forward. Only 1 square forward. So that's how the pawn moves. It can move 2 squares forward at the start of the game or from its starting position. So as the pawns are here, they can move 2 squares forward from its starting position. But after that, they can only move 1 square forward. So that's how the pawn moves. The pawn moves in a forward manner but captures sideways. The pawn moves straight but captures diagonally. So that's how the pawn moves. But the pawn is not noted with any form of notation. It isn't noted by P. The pawns are noted by the squares they go to. So if this pawn moves from E2 to E4, it is noted by the square it went to, not the square it was coming from. So that's how we note this move. So let's say if we move the pawn E4. So now, playing this move E4, we just write it down as E4 on the paper. We just write it down as E4. So now, if black responds by playing the move E5, black too just write it down as E5. So you write down your move, you write down black's move. E4, E5. This is the most common response you can get to the pawn moving 2 squares forward in front of the king. So this is king's pawn move to E4, E5. Now, we know that N is the knight is noted as N. So when the knight moves from G1 to F3, we note it as N, F3. Capital letter N, then the file it went to and the rank it is sitting on. So the knight moving to F3 is noted as N, F3. So you're noting it as knight moves to F3. So that is how you note it down. So now if black responds with this knight moving to this square, we note it as N, C6. Why is it so? Because the knight moved from B8 to the C6 square. So we note it as N to the C file on the 6th rank. So that is NC6. So that's how you note down basic moves. But now, there is another form of move known as the capture. And it is noted as X, capture. So when a piece captures another piece, or when the materials on the board captures another material on the board, it is noted with small letter X. So now, what if white plays this move, D4? Now, white moves the queen's pawn 2 squares forward and challenges the pawn on E5. So now, after the challenge, now black accepts the challenge and takes the pawn on E4. On D4, I mean, sorry. So now, if black takes this pawn on D4, it will be noted as EX D4. Why is it noted like that? It is because the pawn on the E file captured the pawn on the D file on the D4 square. So that is why we note it as EXD4. So
if the black knight captures on D4, what is it called? How do you call it? How do you notate it? How do you write it down? I'll leave you with this assignment. Drop the answer in the comment section. Don't forget to like and subscribe for the next video so that you can see the next video when I drop it. Hit the notification bell so when I drop the next video, you'll see it in our continuation of chess notation.